My stepchildren and her brother told me to stay out of their lives. So I did, along with my money, insurance, and rent payments. When I changed the locks, they stayed out too. My name's Michael. I'm 44. 5 years ago, I stood on the steps of a courthouse outside Denver, holding a thin velvet box and a heart I was pretending wasn't trembling. Hannah said yes. The sun caught her hair that day, and for a moment I convinced myself it meant something. That maybe, this time, life would quiet down. Her kids were standing a few feet away, kicking gravel, whispering to each other behind teenage smirks. Alex was 11. Lisa was 9. They didn't smile in the pictures. We moved into the house I bought. A plain 2-story just outside Centennial, with beige siding and a cracked driveway. I patched myself. 3 bedrooms, a half-acre yard. It needed work, but I had plans. I filled it with furniture, bought new beds for the kids, each one with the stupid color-coordinated sheets they circled in a catalog. Alex got blue with tiny white lines. Lisa picked something loud and floral. I told myself, start with comfort, make it theirs, show them, and I did. Every morning, I got up at 5 to beat traffic into Denver. Worked 10 hours under halogen lights so cold my hands felt like stone. I paid for everything: the mortgage, insurance, internet, soccer uniforms, braces, new phones, therapy for Lisa when her school counselor said she needed it. I didn't flinch. I wanted them to feel safe, to know they were standing on something solid. I thought if I kept showing up, if I never raised my voice, never mentioned the cost, I'd earn my place. I never expected to be called Dad, but I thought maybe, I'd be someone who mattered. But what I didn't realize was this. A house isn't a home just because you fund it. And a stepfather isn't family just because he shows up. Started small. Forgotten thank yous. Cold tones. Birthday cards addressed to Michael. Never from your daughter or from your son. That's not what hurt. I never demanded those words. What cut was the way their eyes slid past me at the dinner table. The way they spoke across me instead of to me. The way everything I did, the planning, the fixing, the paying, dissolved into air like it was owed. Then came the stories about their real dad, Gary. He was absent, mostly. A voice on the phone. A few Christmases with last-minute gifts shipped directly from Amazon. He missed birthdays more often than not, and when he did show up, it was always for dinner out or an afternoon at the mall. Nothing hard. Nothing unglamorous. He got to be the highlight reel. I was just the scaffolding. The first time Alex said, "My real dad wouldn't do it like that," it was over a dishwasher. The kid didn't want to load it. I asked him calmly to clean up after himself. He looked me dead in the face and said, "Gary just leaves it in the sink. He's not all OCD like you." I didn't respond. Just finished the dishes myself while he stomped upstairs like I'd insulted him. Lisa was more passive. But it was the kind of passive that slices quietly. She'd show me something on her phone, some Instagram video, some joke, then pause halfway through and say, "Never mind," like I wasn't part of the joke, like it wasn't meant for me. Once she called from the other room. "Mom, can you tell Michael not to touch my laundry? It's weird." I had picked up her hoodie from the floor, folded it, and left it on the banister. Josh made everything worse. That's Hannah's brother. He moved in temporarily after losing his job. That was 18 months ago. He sleeps on our couch, eats our food, uses our Netflix profile, and every chance he gets, he whispers poison into the kids' ears. He means well, but he's not your dad. I heard him say once through the vent, "You don't have to let him act like he is." Another time, "He's trying too hard, probably feels guilty or something." Josh never paid rent, never lifted a finger, but he had an opinion on everything. And somehow the kids listened. I tried to talk to Hannah about it, gently at first. I told her I felt like I was pushing against something that never moved. I said I was tired. I said I just needed a little help making it feel like a we instead of a me. She nodded, said they were just kids, said I was reading too much into it. "Alex is just like that," she'd say. "Lisa's at that age." But it wasn't the age. It was the absence, the vacuum of gratitude. the echo of another man's name in my house. One night we sat down for dinner, all 5 of us for once. I had cooked grilled salmon, garlic potatoes, asparagus. A bottle of red wine I picked up on the way home. I was trying, always trying. Midway through the meal, Lisa asked if we could go visit Gary this summer. He said we could stay at his place in Arizona, she said. He has a pool, Alex chimed in, and he doesn't make us do chores the whole time. Josh chuckled from the end of the table. Sounds like a real vacation, huh? I looked at Hannah. She didn't say a word. That silence, that indifference, lodged somewhere between my ribs. I set my fork down, took a breath, told myself to let it pass. But it didn't. Later that week, I walked into the garage to find Josh on the phone. He didn't see me. He just wants control, man. Everything's about control with Michael. That's why he pays for everything, so he can act like a hero. The words echoed off the drywall. I backed out before he noticed. That night, I lay in bed beside Hannah, listening to the quiet thrum of the fan. She scrolled through her phone. I stared at the ceiling. They don't see me, I whispered. She didn't look up. You're overthinking again. No, I'm not. I'm invisible in this house. Until something breaks. Until someone needs something paid for. She sighed. They're kids. They're not going to say thank you every time you fix something. I'm not talking about thank yous. I'm talking about respect. She didn't answer, just turned the lamp off and rolled away. The next morning I woke early, made coffee, sat at the kitchen table flipping through the water bill, the cell phone plan, the car insurance. Every page had my name at the top. Every account tied to me. Every luxury and necessity, me. And all I could think about was Lisa's voice, high and amused, echoing from behind her bedroom door. He thinks he can buy us. She was right. I did think that. Not because I was trying to own them, but because I had nothing else to offer. No shared blood. No old stories. No childhood memories. Just labor. Just money. Just the quiet, brutal consistency of showing up. And they hated me for it. It happened on a Sunday. That kind of afternoon where the light spills through the windows in long, golden strokes, and every shadow feels like it's holding its breath. Josh was on the couch again, shirtless, feet up, a bowl of cereal sweating milk onto the coffee table I'd built myself with raw oak and 4 weekends of labor. Alex and Lisa were on the floor, scrolling through summer programs on a laptop I had bought, talking like I wasn't there, laughing like I hadn't paid for the roof above them. Hannah was in the kitchen, humming softly as she rinsed vegetables, pretending. I stood at the threshold of the living room and watched them. My hands still smelled like grease from repairing the garbage disposal. No one noticed I had fixed it. Hey, I said, clearing my throat. I was thinking, maybe we take a trip this summer. All of us. I could book something for June. California, maybe? San Diego. Rent a house, hit the beach. Bond a little. Alex didn't even look up. He just shook his head like I was a fly buzzing too close to his ear. Lisa sighed. Josh chuckled. Wow, generous. Who's paying? Your guilt or your credit card? I ignored him. I looked at Alex. I just thought it might be good. We haven't done something as a family in a while. And then the words. The ones that changed everything. Alex looked up, eyes cold, voice flat. Michael, just stay out of our lives. We'll handle it. I didn't react at first. Just stood there, like I'd stepped off the edge of a dock and hadn't hit water yet. Excuse me, I said. He stared at me like I was slow. You're not our dad. You don't get to decide what we do. Stop trying to buy your way into everything. Lisa muttered, seriously, under her breath. Josh took a sip of his cereal milk and smirked like he'd just watched a punchline land. I turned to Hannah. She stood at the sink, back still turned. Knife in one hand, cucumber in the other. I waited for her to say something, anything, but she didn't turn around, didn't flinch, just kept slicing. That's when it clicked. It wasn't just the kids who didn't see me. It was her too. She'd known. She'd heard them. She'd watched them push me to the fringe of my own home, and she let it happen. I didn't speak. I didn't shout or curse. I just walked out of the room like I was sleepwalking. My ears rang with silence. Not from shock, but from understanding. In the office, I pulled out the drawer where I kept our financial files. Bills, statements, passwords, all of it. The record of everything I'd done. My name on every document that made their lives possible. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat at the kitchen table, long after the lights were out, running numbers in my head. Mortgage due in 2 weeks. Alex's phone bill. Lisa's therapy sessions. Groceries, car insurance, Wi-Fi, streaming services, braces payments. Each one a string I tied to them, gently, faithfully, and now each one a chain. By dawn, the sky outside was gray with ashlight, and I'd made my decision. I didn't explode, didn't wake anyone. I just began to cut the strings. First, I closed the joint account. Left exactly what Hannah had deposited. Nothing more. Then I logged into the utilities and paused every automatic payment. Electric, water, gas, all suspended. I canceled the family cell plan. Changed the Netflix password. Froze Lisa's therapy copay account. Deleted my payment method from Alex's Uber profile. I opened the insurance portal. Removed Hannah and the kids from the health plan. They'd be eligible for Cobra, sure, but it would cost. Everything costs when the person footing the bill steps away. Then I called the locksmith. Asked him to come before noon. By the time the sun cleared the rooftops, I was packing. Just essentials. Clothes. A few tools. My laptop. I left everything else behind. The furniture, the photos on the fridge, the router blinking like a dying heartbeat. When the locksmith arrived, I greeted him calmly. Paid in cash. He changed every lock, front, back, garage side door. I watched in silence. The sound of his drill felt like exorcism. Once he was gone, I walked back inside and wrote a single sentence on a sheet of printer paper. This is your space now. My part in it is over. I placed the new keys in an envelope and set it next to the note on the kitchen island. Then I walked out the front door and didn't look back. The first message came 12 hours later. Where are you? Hannah. No punctuation. No apology. Just panic wrapped in passivity. She still hadn't understood. Still thought this was about hurt feelings. A fight that would blow over if everyone just pretended it didn't happen. I didn't answer. The second message hit harder. Did you change the locks? Yes, I had. And not just the physical ones. I let that silence stretch. Let the weight of the question settle around her like smoke. She sent 5 more texts in quick succession. Michael, this is insane. The kids can't get in. We don't have groceries. Alex has a dentist appointment. You need to come home. But I wasn't coming home. I wasn't sure that place ever had been one. By the 3rd day, Josh tried his luck. He called twice, then left a voicemail, his voice low and performatively calm. Like a man pretending he still had influence. Hey man. Look, I know things got tense, but let's not make this into a war. Okay? The kids are just being kids. You're an adult. Come back. Work it out with Hannah. I didn't respond. He followed it with a text. Be a man. Real dads don't walk away. I stared at that sentence for a long time. Real dads. The phrase was a blade he knew how to use. But he didn't understand. I had walked away because I was the only one who ever acted like a father. Because I'd been treated like a ghost with a wallet. Because I'd fed mouths that only learned how to spit in return. I replied with 2 words. You're welcome. And I blocked him. That weekend, I moved into a 1-bedroom apartment off Colfax. Nothing special. The walls were thin, and the carpet was older than me. But the silence was clean. No one there needed anything from me. No one there acted like I was a visitor in my own life. The quiet stretched. At first, it was suffocating. I'd sit on the edge of the bed, phone dark beside me, waiting for the next round of fury or apology or manipulation. But none came. Just stillness. Days passed. I got up, went to work, came home, ate alone, slept in a bed that no longer sagged under the weight of other people's expectations. and slowly the quiet stopped feeling like punishment. Then, 2 weeks later, an envelope arrived at my new address. Handwritten. No return address. Lisa's handwriting. I opened it at the kitchen counter. Michael, I'm sorry. We were wrong. I was wrong. I don't know why we said those things. Maybe because Josh kept making jokes. Maybe because we thought it would hurt less if we kept you at a distance. I don't know. But I do know that now the house feels empty. Even with the lights on, it's cold. Mom cries a lot. Alex barely comes out of his room. Josh left. He said it was too awkward. I don't blame you for leaving. But I wish you hadn't. I wish we hadn't pushed you. I'm sorry. No signature. No love. Just that last sentence, I'm sorry. I folded the letter and placed it in the drawer beside the coffee filters. That night, I lay in bed and read it again. Not because it changed anything, but because it confirmed something I had suspected but never let myself believe. They had known. All along they had known. That I was trying. That I was giving. That I was there. And still they chose silence. Chose to let Josh's cynicism soak into the walls. Chose to punish me for the sin of not being Gary. I hadn't failed them. They had failed themselves. The next message came from Hannah. A week later. Can we talk? That was it. Nothing more. I didn't answer right away. I let it sit for 2 days. Then I typed, slowly, carefully. You never stood up for me. Not once. She replied almost instantly. I didn't know how. I didn't want to make things worse. They were already worse. I wrote back. You just didn't want to admit it. She sent a paragraph. Rambling. Half apology, half defense. She mentioned the stress. The kids' confusion. How hard it was to juggle love and loyalty when blood and obligation pulled in different directions. I thought things would settle, she wrote. That, if we just gave it time, they'd come around. They didn't, I said. And you let them treat me like a stranger while I was paying to be their father. No reply. The next day she called. I let it ring. Then she texted again. Please, just once. I want to see you. I stared at the screen for a long time. I thought about the nights I stayed up building bunk beds for kids who rolled their eyes at my rules. I thought about every holiday where I paid for presents labeled for Mom, because she didn't have time to shop. I thought about the day Lisa needed emergency dental work and I pulled from my savings without hesitation. Then watched her post a selfie with Gary the next week. Captioned, Best dad ever. And I knew what I would say if I saw her. So I typed it instead. No. This is the consequence. This is what it looks like when the man you ignored stops showing up. She didn't write again. Not for a while. But the silence wasn't empty. It was finally honest. Because once you take your name off the bills, the house stops pretending. The food runs out. The cars don't get serviced. The lights flicker. And the people who thought you were just background noise start to hear the absence louder than they ever heard your voice. Alex tried next. He didn't apologize. Not really. He just sent a message with his tuition invoice attached. Is there any way you can help just this semester? Please. No explanation. No accountability. Just a hand outstretched like nothing had happened. I replied with one line. Ask your real dad. He didn't write back. I heard through a mutual friend that he had to drop 2 classes. That Gary sent him $200 and then stopped answering his calls. That Lisa started picking up shifts at a bakery. That Hannah was applying for state assistance. That the house was on the market. It didn't bring me joy. It brought clarity. Because love without respect becomes expectation. And expectation without gratitude becomes debt. And I had finally stopped paying. The hardest part wasn't leaving. It was realizing I should have left years ago. I used to tell myself that being a man meant endurance. That sacrifice, even when unthanked, was noble. That if I just waited long enough, one more year, one more Christmas, one more heartfelt conversation, the kids would soften. That Hannah would step up and set the record straight. That silence meant tension, not betrayal. But silence, when it's repeated long enough, becomes doctrine. And I had been worshipping at the altar of my own erasure. The apartment was quiet. Not peaceful, not at first. just quiet in a way that made your ears ring. I found myself waking at 4 a.m., still listening for the thump of Lisa's music through the wall or the sound of Josh's midnight cereal raids. I'd reach instinctively for my phone to check if the internet bill had posted, or if Alex had sent another last-minute text asking for money, just this once. But there were no bills, no messages, no demands, just a cold screen and my own breathing. I started cooking for one. Eggs, toast, silence. I stopped watching TV. Too many happy families pretending to solve everything in 30 minutes. Too many fathers who always said the right thing and kids who always came around in the final act. That wasn't my life. My life didn't come with music cues, just receipts. The months passed. I watched the seasons turn like a man watching traffic through a window. Not part of it, just observing. The house was listed in late fall. I recognized the exterior in the photos. The faded shutters, the bench I'd built by hand, the garden stones Lisa helped place one summer when she still pretended to like me. It didn't sell quickly. Probably too many memories clinging to the corners. Or maybe just too much deferred maintenance once the man who did everything walked out the door. I never drove by. Not once. That part of town didn't exist for me anymore. The letter came in December. Thicker than the last. Typed, not handwritten. No return address, but I knew the formatting: Alex's college. Inside, a desperate appeal. If I resumed the payments before spring semester, they'd reinstate his enrollment. They'd waive the late fees. They'd give him another chance. He included a note. I know I screwed up. I was angry. Josh put things in my head. Lisa told me how much you did, and I didn't listen. I was a kid. I didn't know what I was saying. You were there for everything. You were more of a father than he ever was. I see that now. Please, I just need one more chance. Please. It ended with my name. Not Dad. Just Michael. And that told me everything. If he had truly understood, he wouldn't be asking me for money. He'd be asking me for forgiveness. And not because of tuition. Because he finally saw me. But he didn't. He still saw a bank account wearing shoes. I placed the letter in the drawer beside Lisa's. 2 apologies, 2 styles. One vague, one desperate. Neither of them asking the right question. I didn't respond. 3 weeks later, Hannah called. I didn't recognize the number at first. Burner phone. Maybe. Or a borrowed line. I answered without thinking. Her voice was smaller. Like something inside her had cracked and hadn't quite healed. He's not okay, she said. No greeting. No accusation. Just fact. Whose fault is that? I asked. There was a pause. Mine. Yours. All of ours. No, I said. Not all. I did everything. You did nothing. She didn't argue. She just sighed. I miss you. I said nothing. Do you remember that night? She continued. The night before you left. You made chili. Alex refused to eat it. Said it tasted like soap. Lisa didn't even come downstairs. I remember. You smiled the whole time. Just sat there and asked how everyone's day was. Like it didn't *LLU. It did. She went quiet again. Then, I don't want to ask you for anything. I just want to say, I should have protected you. I should have defended you. You weren't trying to replace anyone. You were just trying to be there. And I let all of them treat you like a placeholder. You didn't let them, I said, the words cold and final. You showed them how. Another pause. This one heavier. I'm sorry, she whispered. I hung up. The grief came after. Not loud. Not immediate. Came like mold. Slow, creeping, hidden behind drywall until one day the whole structure stank. I missed them. Not the kids they had become, but the children they used to be. The ones who called me from the car when they got scared. The ones who curled up next to me during thunderstorms. The ones who, for brief moments, looked at me like I belonged to them. And Hannah, I missed her laughter. Her quiet touches in the hallway. The way she used to say my name when no one else was around. But I didn't miss who we had all become together. That family had died long before I left. I just buried it. So what did I learn? I learned that no amount of money will earn you love. No amount of consistency will make someone see you if they've already decided you're invisible. That stepping into someone else's family is like moving into a house already on fire and being blamed for the smoke. Love, I've discovered, is not the currency people trade for sacrifice. Respect is. And without it, you're not a father. You're just a man paying for other people's comfort until you break. I don't know where they are now. I don't track them. I don't answer calls from unknown numbers. If they need something, they can go to Gary. Or to Josh. Or to whoever steps in next and thinks love is enough. Maybe he'll be smarter. Or maybe he'll be just another ghost haunting the edges of a story that never belonged to him. As for me, I'm not bitter. I'm not angry. I'm just done. Done giving without receiving. Done pretending I wasn't the spine of that household. Done being erased with a smile. And now I live alone. Quietly. Not happily. Not joyfully. But truthfully. Because there is a strange kind of peace that comes when you finally accept that they never wanted you. They only wanted what you gave. And once you stop giving, you learn who they really are. So I ask you, all of you, was I wrong to leave? Was I wrong to cut them off? Was I wrong to draw a line after years of being dragged through theirs? Or was I simply the first one in the family brave enough to tell the truth? You decide. I already have.